Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and we have a quick docket today. First, the Patrick Frazee case. The prosecution has rested. The defense has also rested. Second on the docket, a follow-up on our Judges Gone Wild in Indiana. Third, we have the dumb criminal contestant of the day, and we will crown the winner as the dumb criminal of the week. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and today on the docket, first, the Patrick Frazee trial is almost over. Patrick Frazee's case, the prosecution rested today. The defense made a motion for judgment of acquittal, which is basically saying that no reasonable juror could convict. However, the legal standard is as such. The judge has to view the evidence in the light most favorable to the prosecution, drawing all inferences in their favor, and he would say, the judge would say that a reasonable jury could conclude that Mr. Patrick Frazee was in fact the murderer of Kelsey Berreth. The matter would go to the jury because the judge should not interject himself as basically the ultimate juror, the 13th juror. Closing arguments will begin on Monday, but there was a little bit of action today. First, the prosecution called an expert witness who was an expert in blood splatter, and he testified that the blood around the home would be consistent with somebody basically swinging a bat and flinging the bat back and forth and blood splattering. He also indicated that it would be consistent, various wipes that would indicate as somebody had cleaned up a blood stain by wiping it. And he said that would be consistent with murder. He didn't see anything that would be consistent with an accident in any way. And then it really got good. I have said this before. It is always the defendant's own words that are going to get them. And if these words didn't come in, I thought Patrick Frazee had a shot. I think my scales of justice are tilting just a little bit here. A former inmate who apparently was housed with Patrick Frazee, volunteered his services to the prosecution. Apparently, he was contacted by the defense, didn't want to talk with them, but he apparently claims that he had some gang ties, and he alleges that Patrick Frazee asked him to have a prison gang basically get rid of the witnesses in his particular case. And this gentleman apparently is now on probation and now says that he is also not a gang member any longer, but he just felt that he had to tell the truth, even though he did admit on cross-examination that he wanted to sell the story on eBay because now Patrick Frazee is famous. The prosecution then also called an expert from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, who is a handwriting expert, and said that the writings that were basically on paper towels looked consistent with the handwriting of Patrick Frazee. And so, like I said, after those witnesses, the prosecution rested. The defense made a motion for judgment of acquittal, denied, and the defense then rested. The matter set for closing arguments on Monday, and then the jury will ultimately get the case. The judge did conclude that the jury would receive instructions on lesser included offenses, which would be second-degree murder, and below that would be reckless manslaughter as well as criminally negligent homicide. So the jury will have those options to consider on the first-degree murder charge. We'll simply have to see what the prosecution and defense have to say in closing arguments and see if it will persuade the jury one way or the other. And then we'll just have to wait and see and find out how long the jury is out. Next on the docket is a follow-up on a story that we covered several months ago in Indiana. And this is a story of three judges. This is a story of three judges that went on a judicial conference, basically a conference to go learn about being a better judge. And what's the number one rule of going on the road for conferences? Yes, people go to these conferences to do what they cannot necessarily do at home. These three judges wanted to do what they couldn't normally do at home, which was apparently a night of drinking, trying to go to the strip club, and when that doesn't work, head on down to the White Castle. Well, when they get to the White Castle, the one female judge flips off some passerbys who basically pull in. An altercation ensues, and both the male judges, one is shot in the abdomen and the other in the chest. The other individuals are, in fact, apprehended. Well, as expected, there was a judicial complaint, and the Indiana Supreme Court has issued their ruling for these three judges. The Indiana Supreme Court determined that the three judges took a number of actions that discredited the entire Indiana judiciary, and according to the opinion posted by the Indiana Supreme Court this week, suspended the judges. The court found that three, Andrew Adams, Bradley Jacobs, and Sabrina Bell, had engaged in judicial misconduct by appearing in public in an intoxicated state and behaving in an injudicious manner, and by becoming involved in a verbal altercation. Adams and Jacobs engaged in further judicial conduct by becoming involved in a physical altercation, which Judge Adams was criminally charged and convicted. The summary is quite spicy. While in town to attend a statewide educational conference for judicial officers, 10 hours before the program convened, respondents walked the streets of downtown Indianapolis in a heavily intoxicated state. When Judge Bell extended her middle finger to a passing vehicle, neither Judge Adams nor Judge Jacobs discouraged the provocation or removed themselves from the situation. The three had ended up at a White Castle after trying to go to a strip club at 3 a.m. and finding it closed. A fourth judge went into the White Castle while Bell, Adams, and Jacobs stood outside. The insult with the individuals in the car resulted in Adams and Jacobs being both seriously wounded and requiring emergency surgeries. Jacobs was hospitalized for 2 weeks. Judge Bell tried to stop the fighting by pounding on the door of White Castle for help and calling 911 once shots were fired. While at the scene, Bell recorded on video telling police detectives something akin to, "I feel like this is all my fault," though the opinion notes that Bell was intoxicated enough that she lacks any memory of the entire incident. The two gentlemen that assaulted the judges have each been charged with 14 crimes related to the brawl, including felony aggravated battery. The court suspended both Jacobs and Bell for 30 days without pay. Adams, who pled guilty in September to one count of misdemeanor battery, is suspended for 60 days without pay. He was sentenced to 365 days in jail, but was required to serve only 2 days. The Supreme Court noted that the penalties are designed not primarily to punish a judge, but rather to preserve the integrity of and public confidence in the judicial system, and when necessary, to remove those who are unfit. So there you have it. Judges gone wild, judges out partying. Once again, confirming trouble can happen to anyone, particularly those who thought they would never get in trouble. Our Dumb Criminal of the Week contestant once again comes from Florida, and this gentleman's name is Joseph Zack. And Joseph Zack was being pulled over for making what they refer to as furtive movements. That's a fancy word for suspicious or unusual movements. And ultimately, the police officers pulled him over, and the police thought that Mr. Zack was attempting to discard something from the vehicle. Ultimately, what happened was Mr. Zack was trying to conceal a beer can, and which led to a subsequent search of the vehicle, whereupon they found a glass crack pipe and a clear baggie with white residue in it, which tested positive for crack cocaine. Is crack cocaine coming back in Florida or something? It kind of went away there for a while, I guess, but who knows? Anyway, when the police asked Mr. Zack about the suspected crack cocaine found on him, he denied ownership of it and said, quote, "The police or the wind must have placed it there," end quote. Mr. Zack was promptly arrested on multiple charges and is facing bond. So the contestants this week are, and the winner is Mr. Zack. because once again, he's just dumb. The police put it there, or the wind must have blown it in there. Mr. Zach, you have won the Dumb Criminal of the Week, and you are entitled to a Crime Talk mug. So you email me at scott@scottreisch.com, and we will get you that mug. Now, I need some design ideas. Someone left me a comment the other day saying that the Dumb Criminal needs their own mug. So I need some suggestions so that we can keep the pristine Crime Talk mug for those who are not winners of the Dumb Criminal of the Week. And if you'd like to get your own mug, you can hit the link below and order it, and it'll be there in no time. Can you think of a better Christmas gift than a Crime Talk mug? I can't think so. Anyway, if you like our channel and you have not done so, please subscribe, hit that like button. Please leave us a comment. Do you think Frazee's screwed? I thought they were doing pretty good, and then we got the jailhouse snitch. Let me know what you think. Have a great day.